In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to get started making a platform-style game using GamePress. And we're going to create a game called Tennessee Thomas. Now to do this, you load up GamePress and just go ahead and tap Create. We need to title our game, enter the genre of game. This is going to be a platform-style game, and then information. Do I want others to be able to edit this game? I can turn that on or off, and then tap Create. I need to select what kind of game it is. I already said it was a platform game, but I need to tell that to GamePress as well, and I do that by selecting one of these two things. So I'll select Side Scroller. Now you can see it gives me a canvas on the screen, and this is a pretty big canvas, and you'll see that there's a little outline, very faint rectangle in the center of the screen there, and I can pinch it in and out using two fingers. But the way I understand GamePress is that is the visible screen that you'll see at the beginning of the game, and so I can move that around and stuff like that, but that's what will be centered and that's what will be focused on at the beginning of the game. Now I can have the game spill out into other areas of the canvas, sure, but this is where it will begin. Okay, notice at the bottom of the screen there I get some default images and icons that I can use. I'm going to tap the one that looks like plot of ground, and I'll just drop it, let's say right there in the lower left corner of the screen, and I'm going to have it go off screen a little bit just to be safe. And then next up on the left side you can see all those tools there. There's a move tool, select, pan, draw, stamp. I'm going to tap move and then select where it says snap. And next I'm going to tap draw, and now with the plot of ground selected at the bottom of the screen I can touch and drag, and look what it does. It creates a whole line of the plot of ground. So that's an easy way to get a lot of content on the screen quickly. And I put too much, but that's okay. Now I'm going to go back and tap select so that I can click and drag on the background, and I'm going to select that one plot of ground that's a little bit different and tap move, and I'll line it up a little bit better. Okay, great. Now I'm ready to put on a character, and I'm going to go down and tap in the lower right corner. You see what looks like a file cabinet drawer. I'm going to tap on that and select a character. I'm going to go with this gentleman here at the top, Adventure Man. Okay, but I'm going to call him Tennessee Thomas. And I can just click and drag and put him into this game. Now if you want to, you can tap on him and make him bigger or smaller just by pinching or pulling your fingers apart a little bit. You can also tap the character and use the tools that appear on the right side of the screen. So for example, I could tap transform and type in his scale. Instead of 100% X, 100% Y, I could make it smaller or bigger. Or as you can see, it gives me these points on a square around my character, and I can click and drag those to make him bigger or smaller too. I'm pretty happy with the way he looks right now. Next up, I need some smaller platforms that he can jump onto, so I'm going to tap that file cabinet drawer again, and I'm going to go on the left side. You can see that there's a list of different categories of images and symbols that you can use. Characters, environments. I'm going to try environments. Let's see if there's something that he could stand on. It looks like there's a ground subfolder, so I'll tap ground subfolder there. And there's all these different platforms or plots of ground that he could jump on. I'm going to go with this green platform small. So I'm going to tap that, and now it's available, and I can click and drag to pull it into my game. So I'm going to put it right there, and maybe a little bit more to the left. And then I'm going to tap move and change it to snap, and then tap draw, and I can click and drag, and it should draw on the screen. And I'm going to put another plot of ground there to jump onto, one there, one there. Okay, and then just like before, I can tap snap and or move, and I can try to line these up a little bit better. Okay, I think we're ready now to play what we have so far, so you can see what we've got. I'm going to tap play at the top of the screen, and automatically GamePress makes it so that Tennessee Thomas here doesn't fall through the ground. It understands that this is a platform game, this is a side-scroller type game, that's ground, and he has gravity, but he doesn't fall through the ground. So I just tapped in the upper left corner the arrow to go back to my game creating screen, because there's not much I can do there in that game. I can't move Tennessee Thomas. I can't interact with anything. So let's change that. I'm going to tap on Tennessee Tom here, and again it brings up that panel at the right where I can make some changes if I want to. But I'm going to tap Behaviors, and from the Behaviors screen, notice across the top of the screen there's all these different options and settings that I can access. Okay, I'm going to stick with Game Logic, and I'm going to touch where it says joystick controlled, and I'm going to hold that and then drag it onto the screen. So joystick controlled, and it shows a joystick and it shows Tennessee Thomas, and that's what I wanted. If I want something else to be joystick controlled, I would have to tap where it has Thomas, and then tap again where it says Adventure Man, and select something else to be joystick controlled. Next, I want Tennessee Thomas here to jump with button. So I'm going to click and drag and drop jump with button onto the screen. Okay, and remember, how did I get to this screen? By tapping on Tennessee Thomas, the Adventure Man. And so anything that I put onto here should affect primarily him, but it could also affect other things as well. Now I'm going to go back and let's try the game. I tap play at the top. Now I have a joystick and I can make Tennessee Thomas run around. I can make him jump, but notice he's having trouble jumping onto those platforms. Okay, I can fix that. But he runs, he jumps. One other slight problem, he does run off screen and falls down eternally. Basically, he's going to keep falling until I stop this game. So I'll tap back and let's fix some of those things. I'll tap here on Tennessee Thomas, and I could go in and change his mass a little bit, and that should affect his jump. I can set his mass to be 18, so that could affect his jump. But another way to do this is to change the settings for the level or the game. In the upper left corner, if you tap that icon that's in the upper left corner, the three horizontal lines, it opens up level information. I'm on level 1, and I can tap properties, and there in the properties, notice I can change the gravity for the level if I wanted to. In this case, I'm going to keep the same gravity, so I'm going to just X out of that. But that is one way to get him to jump higher, is to lower the gravity. But usually the thing you want to do is tap on the person that you're controlling and go into Behaviors. And remember, I set up a control here that says jump with button. If I just tap on that, jump with button, notice that at the right it gives me power for his jump and also the number of jumps. I'm just going to change the power from 15, let's say, to 25. Let's see what that does. Also, you can activate wall jump, where the character can jump, touch a wall, and jump from there again. And I like that. I'm going to set that to be on by just dragging it over. And let's try it. I'm going to tap onto a blank part of the screen and tap Adventure Man Play again at the top. Now, when he runs, look, he jumps more than high enough, maybe even too high. And then also he can do a wall jump, and then jump again off of the first jump. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to adjust that down a little bit. I tapped back in the upper left corner, and let's take a look now at what else we can do for this level. I'm going to scoot Tennessee Thomas over just a little bit, and I think I'll move over this green platform also. And the reason why is because I don't want Tennessee Thomas to be able to walk left off the screen and just fall for eternity. So I'm going to go in and tap the file cabinet drawer in the lower right corner, and I'm going to select something that could be a wall on the left side of the screen. How about these big rocks? I'm going to go with the blue rocks, and I'll just draw them, and I'll just draw them right there. Now I could have them be off screen, or I could have them slightly on screen. I'm just going to put them up like that. Now I'm going to tap pan to move over to the side here, and then again I'm going to add more by tapping draw. I'm going to add more of those pieces of wall, and then I'll remove that extra one. I didn't mean to put that there. Okay, so with that wall laid in place, if I tap play, again, GamePress just understands that this is a platform style game and I shouldn't be able to walk through that wall. Okay, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in and out to make that the size that I want it to be so that when I play, I can see both walls. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with what I have there. So I'm going to go back. Now the problem with my game is, even though it is working well, it's kind of fun, there is no point to the game at this point. So I'm going to tap that file cabinet button in the lower right corner, and I'm going to go in and tap on the miscellaneous category at the far left, toward the left center of the screen. I just tapped on miscellaneous, and then I'm going to tap on pickups, and I'm going to select that crystal image at the top there, animated crystal. So I'll tap it, and then I'm going to click and drag that crystal onto the screen. Okay, and that's going to be something that Tennessee Thomas tries to get, is that crystal. Now by default, when I tap play, watch what happens when he touches the crystal. Absolutely nothing. So we need to fix that. This crystal, if you tap on it, it says it's passable over on the right. So you can walk through it. It's not a wall. It's not the ground. It's passable. So you can walk through that without any problem. And that's good. I want to keep it that way. But I'm going to tap on the screen, and I want to make it so Tennessee Thomas can pick up that crystal. To do that, I'll tap on the crystal, go into behaviors, tap that behaviors button, and then I'm going to use this collided option here at the left. And again, this is in the game logic category. So I'm going to click and drag collided onto the screen. I'm going to say if the crystal collides with, and it says any object, but I'm going to change that. I'm going to tap where it says any object, and notice at the right side the panel opens up and it shows animated crystal and an arrow and select object. So I'm going to tap on select object, and then I'll tap Tennessee Thomas, and at the bottom of the screen I'll tap that check mark. Now you might be thinking, well, this is a weird way to do it. Why not say if Tennessee Thomas collides with the crystal, then do something? Why are we saying the crystal collides with Tennessee Thomas? Well, there's a good reason, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So right now it's testing to see if they collide, and that's good, but what do I want to have happen? I want it to destroy the crystal. So I'm going to go down on the game logic panel toward the bottom. It does say destroy object, so I'll click and drag that onto the screen. It figured out that I was talking about the crystal, and all I have to do is tap that little gray circle that's at the bottom of the collided shape. I'll just tap on that circle and drag, and see that little line that appears? I just need to connect that line up to destroy object. And this is how you do logic and coding, really, in GamePress. So I want it to destroy the object. But not only that, I would like the player to be rewarded for having done this, having gotten the crystal. So I'm going to tap up at the top where it says UI for user interface. And I want the character grabbing this crystal to add something to the score. So I'm going to tap and drag where it says add to score. And how much do I want it to add to score? I'll tap on the 0, and I'll say 5. Okay, I want it to add 5 points to the score. So add to score 5, I can tap enter and then tap back onto the screen. And then I'm going to click and drag again to connect those up. Finally, I want the crystal, when it's picked up by this Tennessee Thomas, I want the crystal to make a sound. So I'm going to go to the top of the screen and tap on the effects button. It looks like a ruler and a paintbrush or two. So I'm going to tap on effects, and I'll go to play sound, click and drag that onto the screen. What sound do I want it to play? I tap on the word play sound, and it lets me select a sound there in the upper right. So I'll tap select sound, and there's different sounds I could choose from. I just selected a sound, and notice that you only get 8 sounds to choose from. But at the left side of the screen there is a note that you can tap, a little musical note, and if you do, it taps into your iTunes music. So if you put a sound effect in your iTunes library on your iPad, you'll be able to access that and pull those sounds into your game. So I like that a lot. So I'm going to go with shoot as the sound. I know that doesn't make sense, but I'm going to use that one. I'll tap OK. And then I need to make sure I connect those with the little line. So let's test it out now. And again, hopefully you can hear the sounds. Now when Tennessee Thomas grabs the crystal, it should disappear. And I get 5 points in the upper left corner of the screen, and a sound plays. Now the sound was a little bit delayed, and that's because I'm mirroring my iPad to my computer. Just using my iPad alone, the sound is very, very fast. I'm going to tap back. So I'm really happy with how this game is developing. And now that I have set up the crystal the way I want it to be, and I've told it if it collides with Tennessee Thomas and all that, I can very easily create more of these crystals. And I can just tap, let's say, on the crystal itself, and then I'm going to tap and hold on the crystal, and I'll select copy. Now, why would I do that? So that I can then stamp it in different parts of the screen. It's like paste. It's like pasting it. So you'll notice here at the left, it automatically changed now and highlighted stamp. So now I can tap, tap, and add crystals where I want them to be. And I changed my mind. I want to tap snap and move this crystal over to here. All right. So those are the crystals I want to use. And because I did it the way I did, with the collision built into the crystal and the points built into the crystal, notice what happens. If I tap on any of these other crystals and go into behaviors, the behaviors are already set up. So that saves me a lot of time and effort. Okay, next, to make this actually a game, I think we need a little bit of conflict. So I'm going to put in an enemy character. I'm going to tap on that file folder cabinet, and I'll tap on characters. And let's choose an enemy for Tennessee Thomas. How about the skeleton? So I'll tap on the skeleton and then click and drag and drop him onto the level. So I want this skeleton to walk around and get in Tennessee Thomas's way and cause trouble. And so to do that, I'm just going to tap on the skeleton, tap on behaviors, and I'm going to go to motion. You'll see that there's a motion button there toward the top left of the screen. Now, just a quick thing for you to notice. All of these different categories of controls that you can access, they come with the most common basic events, but at the bottom left of the screen, if you tap Advanced, you'll get even more options to choose from. I'm going to go back to Basic for now, but I just want you to know that there is that Advanced button. Okay, I want my skeleton to move around and get in the way of Tennessee Thomas. So I'm going to touch and drag Patrol onto the screen. I want this skeleton to patrol around. And then I'll tap on Patrol, and it gives me some options. Notice where it says Movement. I'm going to set the movement in the X direction, so horizontal, to be 10. And the Y, I'm going to leave it at 0. Now, if I do this as is, it's going to move 10 pixels. Is that the right word? Anyway, 10 units to the right and to the left, okay, back and forth. But it'll do that in 1 second. Let's test it. So you'll see where it says duration, 1 second. So I'm going to tap play. Let's see what happens. Okay. So a couple of things. First, I'm thinking that this skeleton is a little bit too fast for me. So I'm going to go back. I'll tap the back arrow and tap on the skeleton, patrol, and instead of this all taking 1 second, I'm going to say it's got to take 3 seconds for that skeleton to do his route. And then I'll also put in a delay, so that maybe a 1 second delay. So at the end of his patrol route, he'll pause just for a second, and then he'll resume again. So let's test it out now. Okay, and that seemed a little slow to me. So a lot of this is just trial and error, as you can obviously see, but I'm going to change the duration to 2, or maybe even something like 1.8, enter, and let's test that out now. Okay, so I like that. That's a good speed, I think, for the skeleton. All right. Now, level 1 of a game should pretty much always be, pretty easy. You don't want your players to have to stress out too much on that first level. So I'm pretty happy with this level as it is. But now, before I move on to level 2, I need to make it so that there's a consequence for touching this skeleton, because right now there is no consequence other than he gets in my way. So I'm going to tap back, and I'm still in the list of behaviors for the skeleton here. So I'm going to go in and tap collided and drag that onto the screen. So if the skeleton collides with any object, I'll tap on any object and select the object, and it'll be Tennessee Thomas, and then I'll tap check mark at the bottom. So if they collide, what do I want to have happen? Well, I'm going to go and tap UI at the top of the screen. I want to add to life indicator. Now, he doesn't even have a life indicator at this point, but I want to add to the life indicator. So in other words, his indications of how many lives he has. And I just connected those up by dragging a line. And then I'll tap on the add to life indicator. How many lives do I want to add to him if he touches the skeleton? Well, actually, I don't want to add any at all. I want to subtract. So I'll add a -1 life. If you add -1, it's like subtracting 1. And then notice, underneath that, it says event on full, and I've turned that off. By default, it's off. but there's also event on empty, and that's going to be important, so remember that. So this should subtract 1 life from Tennessee Thomas every time he touches that skeleton, and he's only got 3 lives. Okay, next up, event on empty. When the lives get to 0, what should happen? And the place where you put the consequence for that is here, underneath the add to life indicator. So I'm going to go back and tap game logic, and I'll drag on game over. In the lower left corner in the level area, it says game over, and then I'll connect those up. So that's what will happen if the event of the life reaching 0 happens. Now I could also put in a sound if I want to. I could go to effects, play sound. When the skeleton touches the Tennessee Thomas, I'll have this sound play. So I'll tap OK, and then I'll line those up. Okay, so you can have multiple consequences, multiple things happen. All right, let's test out the game. I'll tap play. I can still get my crystals. Everything's going fine. My jump is appropriate. I touched the skeleton too many times, 3 in a row, and game over. Now, I may have made that a little bit too hard, okay, but that's okay. So you can see my lives at the top of the screen diminish as I touch the skeleton until the game is over. Then I can quit or restart. All right, next up, I'm going to go back in the upper left corner. I'll tap back, and I'll set up a way for Tennessee Thomas now to get on to the next level of the game. And to do this, there's different ways you can do this, but just to keep it simple, I'm going to tap that file cabinet drawer in the lower left corner, and I'm going to go down and tap miscellaneous again, and pickups. But I'm going to have a different pickup. How about a star? Maybe this chiseled star or the 3D star. I guess I'll go with 3D star. And then I'll click and drag and drop that here at the top right corner. Now I'm going to move that a little bit. That looks good to me. So I want to set it up so that if Tennessee Thomas collides with that star, he goes on to the next level. So to do that, I'm going to go into the star, tap behaviors, collided. The star collides with any object. Select the object, Tennessee Thomas, tap the check mark. What do I want to have happen? I want to go to the next level. Now you'll notice this panel here at the left opens and closes a lot. You just tap those little 3 dots in the left corner or the left side and it pops open again. But there's load level, and I could do that, or I could just load next level. And that's what I'm going to do in this case, because there isn't a next level. But when there is, this will know what to do with it. Okay, I believe I'm done with level 1. There are a couple of things I want to show you though before we move on to level 2. In the upper left corner, if I tap those 3 horizontal lines, it brings up my levels, and I just have 1, and I tapped on it to make sure it was selected. Notice in the bottom of the left side of the screen, there's 3 controls that deal just with the level itself. There's user interface, properties, and behaviors. I've already shown you properties, where you can affect the wall bounciness, the gravity, air resistance, stuff like that. But there's also behaviors that you can set up that deal with the world behaviors. And there's also the user interface. I'm going to tap on user interface. Notice what it does. It shows me the user interface options that I have created or accessed. There's life and score. And if you like them where they are, that's fine. But if you want to, you can tap on, let's say, life and move that somewhere else. Maybe I want all of my indicators like score and life to be in the same area. It's easy to do. Just drag and drop that. Also, there's my joystick in the lower left and my button in the lower right. If I don't like that, I can reorder those and change them. Or I could even change what they look like here. Notice I can tap on a joystick or tap on the life indicator and a panel appears on the right. So there's things that I can do even there to make changes. So I'm going to go back. Now that I've moved the life indicator to the left, I'm just about done. The last thing I might consider doing is going and tapping background at the top of the screen, top left. And I can tap to change the background. So, Tennessee Thomas here, he could be in like an African field, he could be in a jungle, all these different backgrounds. And notice at the left side of the screen, there is a custom option, and there is also a camera roll feature where you can access your camera roll to bring in photos or images that you've created. So I like that, but I'm going to stick with backgrounds now. And I like the jungle, but it looks a little bit busy, so I think I'll go with grassy 1. Let's try that. I tap X, and that's what my level will look like, and I like that. So I'm going to tap play to give you the overall feeling of the entire level. I'm also resizing this a little bit just by clicking and dragging, or tapping and dragging my fingers and pinching back and forth. I'll tap play, and I could center this a little better maybe. Okay, but there's my game. Let's see if I can reach the star in the upper right corner, and we'll see what happens when I get it. I'm not very good at this game, as you can tell. So what happens when I hit the star is that it tries to go to the next level, and there is no next level, so it just restarts this level. So I'm going to tap back and tap the horizontal 3 lines in the upper left corner. We need to create another level. So I'm going to tap in the upper left corner, add level, and GamePress right now is a free app. It used to be a $10 app, but it's now free. But they do try to make some money off of this amazing app. And the way they do that is with this. You can create up to 3 levels for free for the game. Or you can buy for $1.99 unlimited free levels. Now, honestly, I haven't done that yet, and I'm not sure if that gives you unlimited free levels just in this game or in all future games that you make, and I just don't know. I don't know if that's true. I'm going to tap no thanks for now, and then I can name level 2. I'm just going to call this level 2. It's very creative, I know. And then tap OK, and there's my level 2. Now, after all that work I put in, I'm going to have to start basically from scratch designing my next level. But luckily, there is one little thing that I can do that will help a lot. And to do this, I need to tap the horizontal 3 lines in the corner and go back to level 1. Yes, I'm sure. And, I just don't want to have to recreate Tennessee Thomas with all of his behaviors, his movements, and also the skeleton and the crystals and the star. It seems like I should be able to just not have to do that work all over again. And that's the case. If I tap on Tennessee Thomas, tap and hold, it brings up copy, which I used to do the stamp tool earlier, but there's also a button there for mirror. And mirror lets you mirror an object to another level. So I'm going to mirror him to level 2. It says, are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, I am. So I tap OK. As you can see, it says you can now use this object in this level. Anything you change, except for the position of the object, will be replicated on all levels this object is on. So if I add a behavior to Tennessee Thomas, it will change him on all the levels that he resides on, which is really nice. So I'm just going to tap off, go back to level 1, tap OK, and I'm going to do the same thing with the skeleton. So I'm going to do the same with all of the objects that I want to keep. Okay, so my characters and my objects are available for me now in level 2. I still have to redesign the background and all of that, but that's something I wanted to do anyway. Level 2, I wanted it to look different. So at least I don't have to recreate these characters and objects from scratch for this level 2. So basically at this point I would just design another level and then move on to level 3. Now, if you don't want to use levels, notice that you have a massive canvas to work with. Okay, so you could just use screen controls and things like that to put level 2 on the same canvas as level 1 if you learn how to do that, and it is possible. And on the GamePress app website, they have tutorials and things that teach you how to do that, plus many other cool things that you can do with GamePress. But I'm going to call this game done. Let's pretend that it's done. Here in the upper left corner, I can tap and then tap exit. Are you sure you want to quit? Yes. And then I can go back into my games. Okay, so there's my games, my list of games. Now I could change this icon if I want to, but I would just do that by going and editing the settings for the game. But let's say I want to not only edit this game or play it by tapping this button here, but what if I want to share it? I want other people around the world to be able to play my game. Well, that's very possible and easy to do with GamePress. I can just tap that share button. So this gives me some share options. I could tap private and email this game to someone. They would then open it, and if they have GamePress, they could play the game. The other option is to send it to the arcade, and this would make it public. Anyone in the world that has GamePress would be able to play this game. So I have now done that. I've sent my game to the GamePress arcade. It's not really a finished game, but that's okay. I can post a message to Facebook, Twitter, or email to draw attention to this game so that others can find it easily. I'm not going to do that though. So how would I play my own game? Or how would others find my game to play it? Notice at the top of the screen there's what looks like a gamepad. If I tap on it, it takes me to the arcade. And these are games that people have recently created. If I tap new at the bottom, it gives me the newest games. And look, there's my Tennessee Thomas game. I really need to change the icon, make it look more attractive. There's the most popular games if you tap popular, and featured games. And you can always load more or search. So pretty soon, my game is going to get buried in the midst of other new games. But that's okay. I can just tap search, search by game name or user, and type in Tennessee Thomas or type in my name, and it would locate my game. So let's say in a school setting, in a class setting, the teacher or the students could create games, save them publicly to the arcade, and then let the teacher know or let the students know what the name of the game is or what your username is, and they would be able to find your games. This is a great way to create content for the iPad that other people can access for free. Now, I recently got an email from GamePress with them kind of bragging that they now had some GamePress games in the iTunes App Store. Now, I don't know the details about that, but apparently it is possible to get your game that you create for GamePress and get it into the App Store. I don't know how much that costs. I don't know what the process is for that. But like I say, I recently got an email kind of touting that. At least that's what I understood. So I just love GamePress. I think it's a great, exciting tool, a very fun tool. And I hope you have fun using it to create games and other activities and interactives.